The LiLoHia project is sponsored and brought to you by drlaura.live. With her, frux.ca, Music and Play, George Canyon, Krista Hermanson, and Terry McCallum. Original art and motion graphics by Malcom Carter, Chronos Global Media.
I hope you've been gaining and growing from the content that we are sharing. I'm with Sass Jordan and Gerald Auger once again, and today's episode is on spiritual awakening stages. So we're going to learn about spiritual awakenings and what that means. And I'm particularly interested in this because I think over the last few years I've gone through one of these personally, trained as a psychologist, trained in the science of psychology, but also getting more and more into this spiritual realm, which we're not taught in school and doesn't really enter the corporate consulting world, but has a place very much more than ever now. We need to be aware of it. So with that said, I would like to know, what is spiritual awakening? Let's hear from you first, Sass.
Spiritual awakening is when you wake up one day and realize there must be something more. That's a very plain way of putting it. And you don't necessarily wake up one day, obviously, but it's when you start to question, when you start to go within, who am I? What am I here for? What am I doing? What is this? Where did this all come from? It's when those questions start. And some people never have them, and that's fine too. But that's really, to me, the very beginning of the whole thing. And then you start to find ways to answer those questions. It could be through reading, it could be through stuff like this, it could be through anything, or sometimes you'll have an epiphany yourself. And then I don't think it's something that you could say is linear. I don't think spiritual awakening is a step one, step two. So I don't think it's like that at all. It's kind of a breathing, growing, morphing kind of energy of awareness, and you'll suddenly something will be like, wow, and then you forgot the whole thing the next day. You know what I mean? And then it's like when you read a book and it's fabulous and you put it down, a spiritual book, let's say, and 2 years later you suddenly find it again and you go, oh God, that was a cool book, I'm going to read that again. And it's an entirely different book because you are entirely different and you're seeing it from such a different point of view. It's your perception has changed. That's my take on it.
Beautifully said. I really resonated with that.
Oh, wow.
That it's not stages and phases. Like that would be more of a scientific model based on the five sensory human being and the logic. This is not logical, and that's why logical thinkers have a hard time with this, because it can't be put into categories, boxes, numbers, or decimals.
It's all spirituality is right brain.
Yes, and that's why the artists are helping to lead it, right? So you're the artist.
Programmed left brain big time. Yeah. But it's a program.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do you think? What do you say about
For me, sitting here thinking about a spirit is talking to me and said, you know what to do. So a part of it is, for me, a spiritual awakening is where when your spiritual being that's housed in your human being wakes up, connects to your human being, and you understand, wow, well, there's a veil. What's behind that veil? That to me is a spiritual awakening. When you look at the word spiritual awakening, spirit awakening. But people have been so conditioned to look, they see the word, but they don't know what that means. They see, oh wow, that means it's all about crystals, it's all about this. It's a part of it. But for me, a spiritual awakening, I think I woke up in 1995 when I was graduating from my business management. And this elder creator, bless his soul, who went back home to creator, had said to me, had brought him in do a feast for a graduation that we were going through. And then he said, take this food and ask something for yourself for it. He said, when he put it out on the land, ask something for yourself, he says, you know. And not knowing what it was he meant by that, I did that. And the next thing I know, I am looking beyond the veil. Meaning I was given, my dreams became more vivid and I became more aware of my surroundings. And my rose-colored glasses came off and I was replaced with spiritual lens. Wow. So for me, that was like, wow. And today, it's constant, it's evolving, but now I'm at a point in my life that it's not, it still blows my mind when a sign falls and when somebody just says grounding and it falls and it's wow. And that still blows my mind because it's just like, wow, the creator that I know has a sense of humor and is not subtle, but is subtle at the same time sometimes, right? So for me, that's spiritual awakening, and that's what this world is being, and creator being has swift as the creators, is using fear to wake the people up. That's a part of it, right? So, yeah. So to me, that's a spiritual awakening.
What Sass was saying, when someone hits a low point and wakes up saying, who am I and what is my purpose in this world? And
That's a big one. That's a big.
then that's the door opening to starting to evolve spiritually if you let it.
And if you're interested, because sometimes people, right, they just don't, which is fine. Like we say, boy, you just did a big one though. What is my purpose? That is a number one question that everyone across the board, I feel I'm here for a purpose, but I haven't found it yet. I don't know what it is. And I can categorically say to you that I don't think your purpose is to be that we all have the same purpose. Be, which means not in the future, not in the past, but right here, right now, in a state of calm. You know, easy to say, but purpose, you know, anything that you do that you love to do, it could be cleaning the toilet, but that is just as powerful and necessary and important for your growth as anything else. Why does it have to be some grandiose thing? Why can't you just walk down the street and emanate love? There's your purpose.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. When I was graduating, I went to school. I was going after my business management so I could open up a nightclub on the res. That's how asleep I was. And then, so when I put that food down and that spirit thinks, yeah, you're not going to do that. You're going to go to, your first film is going to be with Harvey Keitel and the late David Bowie, and you're going to do a Hollywood thing for like 20-some years, and you'll think you're going to be living the dream, and there'll come a point in time in your life where you'll realize that it's all fluff, and that what you thought was shiny will lose its shine, and you'll come to understand there's a deeper meaning to life, that there's actually a veil that will poke you through the veil if you're not listening, and literally pull your leg at night while you're sleeping and thinking, what's going on? What is it? Am I losing my mind? Yeah, type thing. So those are stages I've gone through. So.
And you actually raised something interesting. Am I losing my mind? And I'm noticing around me that some people are, I'm starting to ask, bring it up, but in baby steps to see if they bite, right? And some people you can just tell right away that they're closed to this, but others they're, like absolutely, right? But they're not telling anyone openly because they're feeling the same way. But I think there's a lot more people like that than we think that are evolving and that are starting to ask these questions and have these, I don't know, premonitions, affirmations, realizations.
100%, everywhere I go, because I always go, see what they're going to say. And inevitably, and that's something that's been happening really a lot. So I'm finding that people, like I can sit next to somebody on a plane to this day and age now, and I'll start a conversation, and it'll be somebody that I wouldn't in a million years, by the looks of them, of course there's your judgment, right? But by the looks of them, think that they would have any interest whatsoever in the stuff that we're talking about right now. No, like, but I'll just see, because I can't resist. So I just go, I'll say a little something, and they'll go like, totally not what I expect. They'll go, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, what? Boy, was I wrong. And then off you go down the garden path, talking to somebody who is just starting to dip their toes in it. And it's kind of beautiful and wonderful to see. I was there. I know exactly how that feels.
Yes, absolutely.
It's awesome.
And I love what you say, because it's sometimes in unexpected people.
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
We are so quick to judge that.
Oh, my God,
right?
yeah.
We're
Oh,
so
yeah.
quick to judge.
That was the beautiful thing about what they said in 2000 in the sabbatical in the 6 years. They said in 2019, the truth will start to be yelled from the mountaintops. 220 in 2020, the truth would hurt the people. 2021, the truth would offend the people. And 2022, the truth would set the people free. Now in 2023, guess what's happening? People are going to be coming out of their spiritual closets because they've been freed and allowed to talk about this spirituality. That's why it's a spiritual awakening.
Because nothing else is working.
Yeah. And that's, we actually come up with a T-shirt that says LiLoHia Project. Nothing else worked.
Well, nothing else is working.
Nothing else is working.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a big part of coming into spirituality is nothing else is working. The booze ain't working. The drugs ain't working. The relationships ain't working. Nothing working. Better try the spirituality. Woo! Look at the time. I got to go.
So I know I said earlier, I mean, what you said, Sass, was it's not really in stages, but what does it look like in general, an early part of spiritual awakening versus when someone is quite evolved? What do you see in their actions and behaviors that might differ?
It's what my sister said. She said, when you wake up someday and say, what is really my purpose? I'm not happy with where my life is. I'm not happy with the people I'm in my life. I'm not happy with my friendships, relationships, whatever. That's kind of where I would see it being the first. That's what it was for me. I said, wow, I don't really like where I'm going or who I've surrounded myself with. I thought I knew what I wanted, but it's not what I need in a sense, because my spirit is telling me, no, you're not going to open that nightclub on the reserve. Why would you do that? That's not your work, type thing. So, but yeah, it's just really when you wake up and I say, what is my purpose? Why am I really here? To me, that was my first stage. Yeah.
And then people start, when you start changing, these people will drop out of your life. You know, your job will drop out of your life. You know, things that you would have been really terrified of before, they just seem to fade. Something happens and they get taken out or whatever. And sometimes, obviously, with the job thing, it's like, what the heck am I going to do now? But that precipitates the next growth stage. You know, and to look at it always, there's a reason this is happening, like my brother said before, there's a reason this is happening. What am I to learn from this? How can I change this into a positive, even just the way I see it? Because sometimes that's challenging as hell. I mean, I don't need to tell you, you find you've got some horrible disease or what have you, you know. But mind you, these things, and this is of course the way I see it through my personal research, physical challenges, diseases, etc., are always going to have a cause in the energetic body, which is deeply affected by the thoughts and the emotions, which are deeply affected by the traumas and the horrors that every human being has something that they've been through, you know, and it's generally between the ages of 1, 0, and 7. And then you spend the rest of your life trying to, you marry your father, you marry your mother, you know, the stuff you do, trying to figure it out. You know, you don't realize you're doing that, but it's the same energy. You realize, you know, 7 years in, what the heck? I married my dad. This isn't good.
Yeah.
But anyways, you know, it's like you got to figure it out, whatever it is. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying.
But it's perfect how people who are listening could look at spiritual awakening two ways. It's like sometimes when you're coming out of a deep sleep, and then you wake up and it's all fuzzy. So, am I awake? What's going on? And then you wake up and you say, oh wow, okay, I am awake. And then slowly, and the fogginess leaves you when you come out of that deep sleep. And you first come to it and you say, wow, and then the fogginess starts to lift. So that's one way of looking at a spiritual awakening. And then you'll know you're going, it's a deeper spiritual awakening when you know the colors become vivid. The energy, you can feel the energy in the dreamscape. That's a different level of spiritual awakening as well, right? So yeah, I know sometimes when I was doing a Hollywood thing and traveling the world and losing time and space, not knowing what day, what month, where, what city I was at, thinking it was all becoming a blur. To me, that was when I was asleep, because I was chasing a shiny object that when I got it, wow, that's it. Well, where's the rest, right? And then now when I look at it, it's the little things in life that make the world a difference to me.
Yeah.
Like this thing that fell, and I said, wow, Creator, that's powerful. So yeah. So that's how for those who are trying to understand what does that really look like. It's like you coming up from a deep sleep, and
It reminds me of the movie The Matrix.
Oh,
Where they were
100%.
connected to this machine and then
Perfect.
they came
But
awake,
that's
right?
super, that's what I mean about the simulation. It's a simulation, and then then you get into the AI. Maybe
Oh
we
my
shouldn't go
God.
there.
but
That's
my
for another episode, folks.
That's my favorite movie is The Matrix. They said,
It's a
wow,
great-
that makes sense.
It's a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a fellow Canadian,
Yeah.
Yana Reed.
Yeah.
No, and he got
And
indigenous blood in
Carrie
it.
Ann Moss. I think she's Canadian too.
Vancouver, I think.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But no, that's the thing
series,
about
yeah.
The Matrix. They said, yeah, well, I loved it. It spoke to me in
best.
here, not
Me too.
here.
The
It spoke
best.
to me here.
Yeah.
Oh, that was that's a heck of a movie.
Yeah.
There's so much,
Yeah.
and you got to watch it like 16 times. All the different Matrix 1 and 2 and 3 or however many there are. Oh my goodness, you'll see. It's exactly like reading those books. You'll see so much more the second time and the third time. So what?
Yeah.
And I don't like watching anything. I'm like boring, but not that.
No.
My final question, I'd like to know, well, from both of you, but you especially, Sass, is the books that helped in your spiritual awakening. 3 top books that you'd recommend for our viewers.
That struck the fear of God in me. Not that there is
No,
a fear of
no,
God.
no.
The only reason is because there's so many. But I would say, oh dear me. Oh, there's so many, and there's a great resource online. Sandy Sedgbeer is the woman's name, and top 10 spiritual books of all these really, really well-known leaders, shall we say, in this whole awakening movement. I'm going to call it an awakening
Okay.
movement. I don't know what else to call it. But, and she's got hundreds, I love to exaggerate, hundreds of authors who are well known as, like Deepak Chopra would be maybe one of them, and his top 10 spiritual books, or you know what I mean?
Dear. So we'll put this
Fascinating.
in the show notes.
Oh,
We'll
it's
share
so
this with the
fascinating.
viewers, this list you're talking
Sandy
about.
Sedgbeer, yeah.
Sandy
Anyways, I'll get the exact name. But so for me, I love an author named Richard Dotz. I don't even know if that's the real person. I don't. In other words, I don't. He could be using a nom de plume, as they say. It could be a fake name. But his books, they're all about manifesting and this and that and the other thing, So it's almost like very high frequency version of the law of attraction, which has been misunderstood greatly. We all understand. It's been. That's a whole other story. Again, there's a million stories here. A million stories. So, Richard Dotz, anything by him, he's prolific. I love Neville Goddard, and again, anything by him. There's a book I read by Tim, I can't think of his last name. Relax More, Try Less. Tim Grimes and Neville Goddard. That's the name. Oh my goodness, I took this book with me to the Caribbean on a holiday. I lay on the beach and started to read it at 11 a.m. the day after I arrived. And by 5 p.m. that afternoon, I'd made $120,000 sitting on the beach with a glass of vodka. I am not telling anyone else to do that, but I highly recommend it. Anyways, unbelievable. I did nothing. I did, you know what I did? I relaxed. The most extraordinary thing you'll ever do. Totally relaxed, though. It's not like I've never done it before, and I haven't done it since. Where's my $120? Oh wait,
I think that's a
grand.
good way to end, unless you have a final book recommendation.
Creator for me.
Okay,
Spirit.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so.
His
Yeah.
direct,
Creator and your relationship is like reading a book constantly.
Yes.
Well,
right?
yeah, because I was going to go after my indigenous studies to understand who I am, and the elder says, "Why the land will teach you, the elders will teach you, spirit will teach you."
Yes.
2017 is when Creator and Spirit came back and said, "We will be the one teaching you now." Because the teachers I had only gone so far on their healing journey, and we're only at a certain level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Creator said, "There's nothing that they can teach you now. We will teach you. I will teach you now." So that's it.
Well, thank you for being one of our teachers.
Yes.
And maybe you'll write a book. So,
he will.
with that said, you will. So, with that said, thank you, everybody. If you found this episode moving or helpful in some way, please share it with other loved ones in your life who might benefit. Share the love, light, and gratitude. Thank you for being with us. Creator bless. Bye.
No matter what we lost, we make it right. I feel a change is coming. Let's see what love can be. It's gonna be all or nothing. Just believe till you see.
To subscribe to the LiLoHia Project and receive upcoming episodes, updates, and announcements, go to www.youtube.com/@LiLoHia Project. You can also find the LiLoHia Project on Twitter @LiLoHia Project, TikTok @LiLoHia Project, and Instagram @LiLoHia Project. Thank you for listening. Hi.